on, guys? Bradley here, and we're finally back for 2023. We're inside the Mustang. We're going to take it for a little drive. And today I really just wanted to kind of go over some of my plans for this car for this year, the plans for the channel for this year, and some stuff like that. So right now we're actually going to a spot not too far from here that is under the Dames Point Bridge here in Jacksonville. It's a really cool spot. I've taken a couple pictures there before, but it's been probably 2 years since this car was there. But it's a nice little cruise. It's like 50 degrees outside today, so it's really comfortable, and IATs are great, so maybe we'll have a little bit of fun. Obviously not too much fun though. Let's give it a little bit of beans. Oh yeah, likes that cool weather. Really likes that cool weather. So let's kind of get into what I want to do with this car. You know, there's been a lot done. This car's been completely restored, and you know, it's a bit of a show car at this point, which is something I never really intended for this vehicle. Honestly, it was just supposed to be a little bit of a project, you know, just a fun thing to kind of mess around with. And of course, it ended up becoming a headache like every product or every project car does. And I ended up going a little overboard in terms of what I wanted to do. And that's okay. I mean, I think overall the car has come out great. It looks great, but there's still, you know, a few things that I would like to do with it in terms of, you know, making it maybe just a tad faster, but that doesn't involve necessarily, you know, tuning it and changing, you know, stuff with the motor. I think the motor is pretty much at its peak. This is as far as I really want to go with it, and that's just purely because it's a stock 2 valve, so there's not really much more of a ceiling. We're just about there in terms of, you know, safe power for one of these motors. Something I would like to do, and in the last video you might have saw, you know, we went to OSW, Orlando Speed World, and I watched Andrew do some drag racing with his GT500, albeit it had some pretty serious issues. You know, the first time it closed the throttle blade at like the 8th mile, which is why it rolled to an 11, and the second pass it blew the clutch slave cylinder, or it blew a clutch line, one of the two. Still not quite sure yet, but and that's why it rolled to a 12, and it didn't do very good. And that car is capable of 9s. Now this car is not capable of 9s. This car is probably capable of mid-12s on the street consistently, and on the track with a tire could maybe be an 11.9. I don't think with me driving it right now it could be an 11.9, but Andrew seems to think it could even be an 11.70 car, which you know, I won't believe that until I see it. So one of the big things that he's recommended I look into, if this is something I seriously want to do with this, is a drag pack. And so right now I've kind of been looking around at different drag packs for this car, not only just for, you know, some of that extra performance, but I'm gonna be honest, it looks pretty sick on these cars. I'll throw up a picture here. I haven't found any convertible Saleens with one, but I did find a couple hardtops, and they look freaking sick with a drag pack. And so not all the time, of course, would I be taking this to the track. I mean, heck, OSW is about 100 miles away from here, maybe a little bit more. So it's not exactly a short drive. And with this car, I would definitely want to tow it rather than drive it down there, because I don't really want to rely on it being my ride home. But I would like to get into that. It's a lot of fun. I feel like this is the better car to do it compared to my daily. I mean, I need my daily, and you know, the Infiniti is fast, but it is it's a daily. It needs to stay that way. It's not the race car, and so I'm trying to remind myself of that as well. Even though it would be an easier car to drive down the track, and I've done it on the track before, this would be probably the more fun car. And also, in the event that something does fail or break, it's not going to be the end of the world like it would be with the Infiniti, which I rely on that car every day. So if something happens to that, I'm going to be in some serious trouble. So drag pack is definitely one of those things that I think is going to make a big difference. And not only, like I said, would it be nice to have on a track, but rolling up to car meets on a radio makes you look pretty cool. And this car is quick. I think it would warrant having a radial just because of the amount of torque that it makes. It would probably make street driving it a little bit easier too. We spun back there in first gear, and that is probably A, because it's cold out, the tires aren't warm. B, if we had a stickier tire, it probably wouldn't have done that as much. But here on this on-ramp, we'll roll right into it. There is still a little bit more tuning that I'd like to do with this car, and that, is just because I really want to hit that 400 number, at least just to say that I've done it. I feel like it'd be a really big milestone for this supercharger kit. It's not a number that a lot of people with the Saleen kits have hit, and that's just because most people don't find it worth putting that kind of time, effort, or money into, or even just they don't want to experiment with it. And I think I could confidently say that this is probably one of the most built up Saleen kits without, methanol injection or nitrous or anything like that. There's some pretty serious modifications done to this kit that, I've done over time that have really gotten it to where it is. And there's some more stuff that I could do to it, but I really don't think that there's going to be too much of a change. I've debated going and getting a different heat exchanger, even though I already upgraded it once. I debated doing like the GT500 with the tubular front crash bar, but it's a lot of effort for not a big gain, I don't think, and therefore I just don't think it's going to be worth me doing it for like a 5-degree change. I think really there's not too much more I could do with this old Roots blower and the stock Saleen intercooler, which is not that great. So we're just about here to the spot underneath the Dames Point. So I will see you guys here outside the car in just a second. So we'll just do a little bit of a walk around here on the car. Some of the most recent changes have been, we swapped the brakes out, painted the calipers, got them looking nice. The car was ceramic coated and detailed about a year ago, which is something I never really mentioned, but shout out to Alpha Detailing Specialists. They really got this thing looking nice. We just did some new taillights with the sequentials, which are in there. These are stock housings with just LED bulbs, and then the Raxium sequentials. Did some new tires on the back. I swear by these tires, and you guys are gonna probably say you've never heard of this brand, and that's okay. These Petlos Velix Sport PT741s. This is the third car that I know that has them. I have them on my car. My friend's G37 has them, and then we have them here on the Saleen. And these things are great. They're cheap. They're made in like Turkey. They perform just about as well as the Indy 500s I have up here on the front, because this car used to have Indy 500s on the rear, and I freaking love them at a fraction of the cost. I haven't had any issues. The pair that's on my daily driver has gone on 2 trips to Tennessee, a trip down south. I put almost 30,000 miles on them in about a year, and they've been great, and they see way more abuse on that car than they do on this car. So they're an awesome set of tires if you guys are looking for something to check out that's inexpensive but more of a performance oriented tire. So walking around up here in the front, nothing really new has changed. I'm on my 3rd set of these headlights, which is always awesome. If you have a new Edge, you know the deal. These things get fogged up within about 6 months of you owning it. Even if you seal them, it doesn't really seem to stop it from fogging up and getting condensation in. So pretty much every year I'm ordering a new set of headlights to fix that issue. So something we don't really look at very often is the inside of the car. And that's because really this is kind of a boring area of the car in my opinion. There's really not that much going on. Just got the SCT X4 mounted there. Have the dual wideband from Innovate that's sitting there, glow shift boost gauge, Hurst shifter for the trans. These are the Corbeau Sportline seats with the Corbeau 3-point harnesses because my original seat belts were A, the wrong color, B, they didn't retract, and I just wanted them gone. So these are actually mounted. There's a bar here in the back behind the seat that's like a structural bar, and they run over that and then bolt down to the factory mounting point for the seat belts underneath the seats. So I've talked with a couple different people. They say that's a perfectly safe setup, and so that's why I went with it. And I've had them in there for about a year, and it's been pretty solid. Now here's a location you guys are all too familiar with, and really nothing else has changed here. And for 2023 moving on, I don't really think there's anything else I do want to change. I think one thing I do want to for sure is I want to change this intake system. Something just isn't quite right about it. I think this Torque Tech piece actually has a vacuum leak, maybe, and I say that just because it's kind of ripped here and this area where it goes into the IAC. Another thing I don't like is that this is so short, and you can see that, you know, the filter was originally sitting here. It was more sitting here. Now it's kind of too far back. I can't really use my JLT heat shield that I spent $50 for from them. So I would really like to use that part again. So I'm going to figure out how I can maybe extend this. Maybe I'll just swap out the intake piece entirely. I'm not sure quite yet. The SCT Big Air 3000 MAF is probably going to be leaving this car, and that's just because on HP Tuners we've been having some issues trying to get it tuned, and I think moving to just a factory Cobra MAF and pairing that with, you know, the factory Cobra injectors, I think is going to just make the tune overall a lot happier. So that's probably going to be a move going forward. Everything else pretty much is going to stay the same. We're not changing injectors, we're not changing pulley. I don't really want to change anything, and that's just because overall I've been very happy with the setup. I think it performs well. I think it looks great with the red blower, and I just want it to keep doing that. Seriously guys, look at this thing. Tell me it's not just begging for a drag pack. I mean, it would look so sick. Well, it's cold as heck out here. I just got a couple pictures, and it looks great. It's also very dusty. You can see just dust everywhere. And after all, I mean, it is basically a shipping yard. So we're gonna get out of here before the car gets too dirty. That pretty much covers the car and some of my plans for it for this upcoming year. Now, I very quickly want to talk about some of the things I'd like to do with the channel. And that's obviously number one is getting on a more concrete upload schedule. Over the winter, there was just a lot going on. In the last couple months, there's been a lot going on with family, with the holidays, with things like that. And so I haven't been able to be consistent. And truth be told, there's not been a lot of events going on either that have been close to me. So the good thing is with the new year, the new car show season is going to get started. And there's definitely a lot of things that I want to go do. And, you know, now that I'm looking into, you know, getting onto the track, you know, that's going to open up some new possibilities as well. So those are both, you know, things that I'm really looking forward to for this year. And I'm looking forward to being able to show you kind of my experience at these events with y'all, and getting to share them and document, you know, all the things that we're going to go do. I feel like it'll be really awesome, and hopefully you guys will hang around and enjoy it just as much as I probably will. Big goals for this year are definitely going to be getting on a more concrete upload schedule. I'm trying to seriously increase the quality of my content as well, and so hopefully you guys liked the new intro and the new outro in the last video. There's a couple little tweaks that I did to it for this one, and those will hang around moving forward. But you know, I'm really trying to get things a little bit nicer, a little bit more cleaned up, and take this a little bit more seriously. Originally it was just for fun, and it is still just for fun. And you know, this is not what I do full time at all. This is just supposed to be, you know, something to document, you know, everything I'm doing with this car. Just, you know, it's memories that I want to have, especially down the line. When I may or may not have this car anymore, you know, I want to be able to look back and say, man, I did that. So that's really one of the big reasons that I started this channel. It's one of the big reasons I continue to upload videos and try to continue to upload videos. And I've met a lot of really cool people just through this channel and through owning this car, and I want to continue that because that's just been such an awesome experience. I know I've said before, we will be going back to the dyno at some point. In fact, this car is being left at Andrew's shop, and he's going to do some work on it with the tune, and then we'll be going to get strapped down to the dyno. He's got a friend who's got a dyno down south, and I think it's going to be a really good time. So I'm really excited for that. And then we'll just kind of see what happens next. You guys are just going to be along for the ride with me. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you stay tuned for what we have coming up next. And I will see y'all in the next one.